This Richard back at you. Bright and early Tuesday morning, hanging out with the Precision team. We got Annie with us this morning too. She's enjoying her morning. We got Trent working on a super turbocharged car that we're messing with. But we've been working on our trophies. We've got them just about ready to go. We've got another one that we're doing inside the shop I'll show you here. They've turned out really good. They're going to be really fun to give away at the races this weekend. Pretty awesome.
Some were given away.
Yeah, some were given away and some were going to be
auction.
Yes, we're going to be doing a ticket raffling. Yes, yes. Well, we've got Daniels. I'm sorry, I couldn't see it. Didn't have my glasses on. 2000 Ford F-250 in the house. The tranny, there wasn't nothing wrong with it. It just got 157,000 miles on it.
And he pulls a
big trailer. Yes. Yeah. So we're going to be going through this unit and upgrading it to some nice bushings, a lot of different bushings. We're going to be adding some clutches to high gear, making sure we have all of our clutches that we can get in this unit completely. But I wanted to show you something else too. Let me shut the door really quick. I'm sorry. But this is another one that we've been working on too. This is automotive parts, transmission parts. This is Annie. We're working on Annie. Got a little tongue going here. Automotive parts, 400 yoke, 4L60E sun gears, 4R70W sun gear shells, LS rods, pistons, 48RE overdrive direct springs, LS camshaft in the middle. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. We're not done. We're going to put a tail on it and stuff still. And we might even put a little cowboy on him and have him riding or standing beside him holding the leash. We're not really for sure. We got all kinds of ideas. We start making these toys. But anyway, 2000 Ford F-250, 4R100 tranny. There's nothing supposedly wrong with it. We're just going to be freshening it up, getting him ready for summer next year and pull his camper and stuff like that. Now this thing does have a triple disc converter in it from the factory. You can identify these by the ripples in the converter here. A single disc will just be smooth. There will not have no rippling here. 6 lug. Now the early designs had a little stud sticking out the end of them. The stud was a little bit longer, but these will retrofit. So what I like to do is get a non-PWM tranny in here and then put one of them factory triple discs in it, and it just makes it a really nice tranny when you do that. So. And we have our neutral safety switch here. Now, how you set these, if you ever have to replace it, you put your tranny in neutral, and then right here, you can see these lines right there. See that line there and that line there? What you do is you take and turn it and line those two lines up right there and then tighten it down with your shifter in neutral. Pretty simple. Now we do have a temperature switch he added.
He added, or that's factory?
No, this has been added. This wouldn't be factory here.
But there's a place for it.
Well, that's our pressure port where we hook our pressure gauge to see line pressure and stuff like that once we get the tranny put in. Now we have our output speed sensor here and our input speed sensor here. Being this is a 2-wheel drive, these should be the same length. No PTO or anything like that. It is 8 o'clock Tuesday morning here in Amarillo. Windy, windy, windy. And we have our tail housing here. Now here you can see the reluctor wheel that this speed sensor is counting when it sets there. This spins and it counts it. That's your output speed sensor. Your input speed sensor counts a drum inside. I'll show you that. We have our parking here. Locks in there, goes into park. A lot of times you can get these out, and then sometimes you can't. Of course, sometimes you can't. You can loosen that up just a little bit. You don't have to take it off, and it'll come out that way. Oops. Now we have our cooler bypass tube here. We replace every one of those on these transmissions. If something ever fails in this tube here, and it can, you can see here is the last one that we just did on our recent video of replacing it. Because there's a check ball and spring in here. The spring breaks, messes up. Also, if you look in here, there's a check ball and spring in here. So you got two check balls and springs in here that could fail and cause this tranny to go down. Oh, I thought I grabbed my biggest socket. Now, when we noticed before we pulled the tranny out, we unplugged the connector here, and the connector is just plumb full of fluid. You can look in here, Teresa. Can you see that?
Oh, yeah.
It is just plumb full of fluid. No fluid around here anywhere, nice and dry. So you know the fluid is coming up through the bottom of the solenoid pack. But here's your check ball and spring in this one, and there'll be another one in here. Now, when you buy this kit, this tube kit, it'll come with both of these in here just like this with the seals. All you got to do is take it out of the package and stick it on. There's a seal right there still. There it is. Fluid still looks really good in this unit. Things here, you gotta muscle them around a little bit. They're so dang heavy.
Yeah,
Now the erratic shifting and stuff this unit is probably having would be the fluid in the connector. But being that it's got that kind of miles on it and he pulls a lot of weight, it's gonna be a nice tranny when we get it done.
and they can't hear you when you're using the tools and
They
talking.
can't, I'm sorry. Now I don't know when the last time it's been serviced. Magnet looks good, got a little bit of trash down in here. Not too bad though. It does have the right filter on it. It does have a deep style filter. Got the neck here. Now the one we put has a bigger body on it. Lets fluid get in here, a lot more fluid get in here in the filter. And anytime we do one of these units, this filter is so capable of stopping up down here on the bottom. It sets in here like that. You can see very little gap. So if you hit something or you dented this, you can plug that filter off real easy. There's not much room. So what we do, we come in here and we'll put a little dip in here and a little dip back here. That way, if you plug this off, it's still going to suck fluid through these areas that we put in here. So that's a must that you have to do because you never know when it could happen. You might have a dent in it right now and then it's almost plugging your filter. You might want to go look at your truck. We have 10mm bolts here, or nuts, that on the corners of the studs here that line everything up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to have 8mm for our accumulator body. This body here is physically where everything happens on shift, feel, stuff like that. This is a two-stage accumulator body. It's a two-stage system where it physically has to move a valve, and then it'll go into the accumulator part in here. Now, in my earlier videos, I have another 4R100 video out right before this one. I show that through here. And your Transgo shift kit, or your SK shift kit, is going to come with different springs, a metal valve. Because you have your 1-2, your 3-4, or your 1-2, your 2-3, your 3-4. So when you look at the instructions, it'll tell you all that. We put an SK kit in all of these. And we're going to have two shorter bolts here, and then you're going to have the real long ones here. Now this is your engagement control valve body. Now on this one here, we always leave this spring out on every one of them we do. These trannies have a soft reverse. You have to wait on them anyway. So what we do is we take that spring out right there and leave that out. And then we'll put the plug back in. Just like that. Put the keeper back in. There you go. Clean it up. There you go. Always leave that spring out. It gives you a quicker reverse and quicker engagement. So you always want to do that. Now if you notice here, we've got 4 check balls in the valve body here. Now this is your main control valve body here. You got a big one here, small, small, and a large one here. This trough does not get a check ball. Real easy to put one there. Now the bolts are the same length as your accumulator body bolts. You got your check balls there. Now this valve body has a spring right here. In your SK kit, shift kit you get, it will come with a new spring that goes right here. You don't have to take the valve out to get it out. You can take a screwdriver and just pull this out like this, and then your other spring will pop right back in. These springs are usually broke when we get them in here. So, whoop, there it is, right there. Your other one out of your kit, you can just take and slide it in there. Real simple, just like this. Just like I'm gonna put this one back in there, boom, there it is. That way you don't have to take this valve apart. Clean all this up. Now when you air blow this plate right here will pop out. See that? You take air and it'll shoot right out of there. So you gotta be careful of that. All your check balls. Now this is our solenoid pack here. This is where our fluid was leaking into the connector through this body here. This is what the computer tells what to do, and then the tranny does it, supposedly, when everything is right. Now they do make different solenoid packs. They make a PWM style, and this is a Torx bit. All these on here. They do make a PWM style and a non-PWM style. Anytime you get one of these, just this part number on here will get you the right one. VIN number, the vehicle, all that type of stuff will get you the right solenoid pack. Ooh, almost got you, Teresa.
Hey, you better watch out.
That's a good church you got on there.
Otherwise, you're going to get the boot.
The boot, uh-oh.
The boot.
There you go. Now guys, on this plate here, you have a filter here. And it's weird that these ain't coming with this little small filter right here, but normally there's a little filter here that stands up. It's a little plastic one. I don't have my kit here to show you. It's still coming in. but normally there's a filter here. Now when you get your shift kit out, it's going to have you drill 2 holes. It's going to have you drill this hole here, and it's going to have you drill this hole here. Gaskets on this tranny, guys. When you start putting gaskets on this tranny, you better make sure you got the right ones because they make 10 different gaskets. See how we have 3 holes here in this gasket? You'll get a gasket in your kit that will not have this hole here. So you have to match them up.
Hey, turn it the light's just so on it, it's hard
Yeah,
to see.
right.
You don't know whether or not.
So I'll turn it back over. See this hole here and this hole here is the ones we'll be drilling in the shift kit. Like I say, your gaskets, match them up really close, look at them really good. And then your kick down band servo here. Now they make 2 different ones of these too, but they do make a retro, and this will retro back to the early design. So with the early design, you can't get them anymore. So now here you have a blow-off spring and check ball that sits right in here. Your shift kit will come with a little bullet that sets on there that keeps it aligned better in the hole for a lot better sealing and control. So you don't want to lose that spring. It is special. Throw it in the pile.
Do you see it?
Yep.
There it is.
Can I air check these, Teresa? I'm just kidding.
Trying to get the boot.
Get the boot. Well, we have our low reverse clutch down in here. And you have your air check hole right here. You can blow air in there and make this clutch work. Now the shift kit will come with a plug right here. We don't recommend putting that plug in there because we've had customers bring them back saying that they delayed too much in reverse. So we just quit putting that plug in there, and we don't have that issue no more. Now you can see all your check balls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There is not a check ball in this trough here. Now if you look at your gasket, it's easy to verify check ball locations. See this trough here? That's that trough. See this trough here? That's that trough. See this trough here? There's no trough. So your gaskets will tell you if you get a check ball or not, if you just put them on there and look. Pretty simple. Now our center support bolts and our overdrive support bolt here, these are hollow bolts. They torque down about 7 inch-pounds. You can tell how crooked these were torqued down. I mean, they're not even lined up center in the hole. Neither is that one there. So if I blew air in here, we can apply our clutches and our loop circuit through here.
Yeah. That's good. It's not
You didn't-
happening today.
What about your new shower hat, Teresa, you got in the mail?
Yeah.
Hey, Teresa got a really nice shower hat in the mail. Pretty red all the way from Vegas, guys. I'm telling you, whoever sent it to her, it's beautiful. I'm telling you, she wore it around yesterday, all around the shop yesterday.
I actually forgot I had it on for a
Yeah,
long
she
time.
did. But hey, thank you for protecting her, definitely, because that last squirt she got, guys, it was a good one. Believe me, she had to go home and get all cleaned up and stuff, so.
That's why he doesn't get the food.
Yeah. Now, to change this seal here in this case, shifter seal here, some of them don't have the lever made on them where you can just pop the seal out this direction. But this one here, you're going to have to pull this pin out, take this loose, loosen your detent spring here, and slide the shaft out and change it. Just remember your lever goes up. If you put it in going down, you're going to have to take it all the way apart again after you put it in the vehicle and realize, oh, I put it upside down. So just remember your lever goes up. Do not wash the case with the pin in there if you plan on taking the pin out. Take the pin out before you put the case in the washer. If not, you're going to struggle getting the pin out. Now you can see here how this transmission has fluid leaking out of the seal already, a lot of dirt stuck to the condensation of the fluid and stuff all through here. Now this has a gray seal in it. These seals here were very common of having reactions like allergic reaction to the new style fluids that we use. So this is a common problem we see with the new fluids. If you notice in my last video I did on my 4R100, it had the gray seal too, and that's a common problem. The seal swells, starts leaking because the fluid has an additive in it to keep seals soft and stuff like that, and that seal don't like that. The new seal will be a black looking rubber coated seal, totally different looking material.
Oh, you just got fluid out before.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, but it'll be tracked everywhere, just that little bit.
Okay. Quiet our little puddle up there real quick. And what we have is our input shaft here. You can see it has a ring on it right here. That's not for lockup or anything. It just means that this is in goes out. Because this will go in both directions. I lied. I was thinking of C6, I'm sorry. It'll only go in one direction. But the ring does go out. Gives you an idea. Got all of our pump bolts. Now you want to look at your stator really good for any type of wear. Just some gray marks and stuff like that, no wear at all, just kind of some shadowing. Now here, since we have a PWM lockup system, we do not have a capsule in here with a hole in it. If you have a early design, non-PWM, you'll have a capsule here and it'll have a hole in it, and you drill that hole out to what your SK shift kit tells you to drill for a firmer lockup. This one here, there's no modification for lockup here. You'll change the spring here for lockup. Other than that, there's no other thing you'll change. Now your shift kit will also come with a new boost valve and stuff here, pressure regulator valve. Get that apart. This fluid's really slippery. Get our snap ring out of there. Now your shift kit's going to come with a new plate here, 2 new springs, and a new boost valve and sleeve, and a new snap ring. It'll come with all this. It will not come with a new valve. It will not come with a new valve, but you want to look at this valve and make sure there's no pitting or any wear on the tip here, anywhere on your pressure regulator valve.
Throw it in the pile.
Throw it in the pile. And then here we have our pump, body, and gears. Now this pump right here, guys, Ford took forever to get the right one, but they did finally get it. And this one here is the biggest gear, pump, and the biggest inlet ports. So if you put a gas pump in this unit, it does not supply enough fluid to support all the functions and stuff. So that's why they kept going to a bigger gear, bigger gear, bigger gear, bigger pump. You can see here that the bushing looks really good here on the top, but you're starting to see some rubbing down here on the bottom. That tells you, the motor's starting to, crankshaft getting a little low. Flywheel may be broken, anything like that, flywheel bending, anything. You start turning these trucks up, the flywheel is the first thing that's going to take the hit. Starts warping, bending, stuff like that. Then they start leaking out the front, having all kinds of issues. Now in our stator, we do have a bearing that sits here, and we have another thrust washer right here. 2 sealing rings. Now your bushings, if you notice here, how this bushing here has like a spiral drop groove in it. See that? How it starts at the bottom, comes up, and then spirals back down the other side. Okay? If you notice this input bushing, it's just a straight line. Can you see that straight line down in there, guys? Can you see that? That
Maybe.
straight line, kind of hard to focus in there.
Yeah.
But that straight line bushing. So those bushings, 2 different bushings are identical size. You can switch them out real easy, but you don't want to do that. You want to make sure you put the right bushing in the right spot. Now your kit too, your shift kit will come with a new snap ring here, twice as thick. You have to grind the tip of it off to make it fit. That way it fits tight. We have our engine brake clutch. We have our Sprag assembly here. Come on. Just remember on these, the roller always pushes, the spring always pushes the roller uphill. That's a fragile. If I dropped it, it'd bust in a million pieces. Now on your sun gear, you want to look at this sun gear really good on both sides for any type of wear, because this is your overdrive sun gear. Any type of pitting, anything like that. Same way on this drum here. You know, these are just shadows. They're not grip. I can't grab them with my screwdriver. But some of these drums we get in here, the clutch is almost cut all the way through the drum. So you got to check that. If that's that way, the clutch will lock itself in the drum, and when the clutch applies, it tries to push the drum either direction because the piston pushing the clutch up. So. And then we have our overdrive planet, our inner race here. You want to Scotch-Brite that up really good. Now your gas ones will have a steel planet. Your diesels will have a steel. You want to check these pins for any purpling or anything like that. Splines. Make sure your splines ain't being stripped out or anything.
So gas ones will have what?
We'll have aluminum planet
Okay.
instead of a steel.
Okay.
Now if you get a diesel in here, if it's got aluminum, you better find you a steel one. But you want to Scotch-Brite your race up here. This is for your Sprag, your outer race. This is our overdrive clutch here. Now on the early designs, the E40Ds and stuff, the clutch teeth count was different and different count too. Now you can see here we have a 3 clutch overdrive, but your overdrive is totally burned up in this thing. And there's nothing left of the overdrive clutches. You can see that one there's kind of good.
He pulls a 25-foot gooseneck.
Does he?
Crazy.
Well, we're definitely going to help him out in that respect on beefing overdrive up and all that type of stuff. So he's going to get him a nice unit when he gets it back. Now this snap ring right here, usually guys, is already off and usually just laying in here. It doesn't do any damage. It just rides around like that. It's crazy. Oh, I splashed you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Oh my God.
Okay, we have a bevel plate here and the snap ring goes on there. That. And we have a bonded piston. I'll wipe your arm off, Teresa. There you go.
Thank you. That's
There
not
you
dripping.
Yeah. Now your overhaul kit will come with new pistons. Your shift kit will come with a new snap ring, and it's a spiral snap ring. It's double wrapped like that, so that it can't come off. Let me see where it's at. Trying to protect her to keep foot from splashing over there on it. Okay, we have a big snap ring here. And then we have our support here. This applies our overdrive clutch and our second gear clutch. We have our overdrive piston here. We have our second gear clutch piston here. That applies the clutch down there. You have a seal here and a seal here. Now the early designs that doesn't have a bonded piston, it'll have the seals on one on the piston and one in here. And then we have another bevel plate here. And this is our center support. Now this is an updated version here, has a bearing in it. Got sealing rings here for your third gear clutch. And your brush washer. Like that. And then of course we have our engine brake band. This is our servo here that applies it. And then we have our second gear clutches here. Now the kit we got coming has a lot better clutch. A really high metallic clutch that we're going to be putting in this unit. So we'll get rid of them cheap paper clutches. And then we have our intermediate Sprag here. You notice this Sprag turns to the left, locks to the right. Will not turn to the right. Turns to the left, locks to the right. But it's easy, guys, to put these Sprags in backwards. The roller style Sprag, like I showed you in the other one, the spring always pushes the roller uphill. But when you physically have a real Sprag instead of a roller clutch style Sprag, you can put this in like this. And now what you did, I put it in backwards. Now it's going to spin to the right and lock to the left. So now it's in backwards. But it'll fit right in the vehicle. You put it in, bam, it don't work. So you need to know your Sprag rotations. That way you know. So if it's a 400 tranny or a 4L80E, this is the right direction. But since it's not, it's got to go the other direction. Spins to the left, locks to the right. Of course, you have a washer here that keeps the race off of it from rubbing on the drum. Now on our third gear clutch here, we're going to get as many as we can get in this thing here. Now we can at least add one more that I know for a fact. So what we've got is a 5 clutch high gear. So we can at least add one more clutch in here and give it 6. Get our I know. We have our forward drum here. Now we do have a bearing down in here that sits in here. They make 2 different style drums. They make a drum that does not take a bearing here. They make a drum that takes a bearing. And a C6 drum looks identical too. But if your bearing sits down in there and rocks, it's not the right drum. It has to set down flat. So if you go get a drum out of the trailer and it's got a rounded edge right here, instead of a square cut, this bearing's going to rock and it's going to break. It will not work. Okay. Now we have sealing rings here, our forward sealing rings that seal in our stator down in here. One on each side of your feed hole. I always check my sealing rings too, guys, because let me tell you, back in the day, we'd get oversized hubs, we'd get all kinds of oversized stuff, and then you put the stock ring in and it don't fit. But that's basically what it looks like. It seals the oil in between these 2 rings, goes through the hole in here, comes out here and applies our forward clutch. Now, I talked about putting an extra clutch in our high gear drum. I'm going to show you how to do that real quick. Now we have a bearing that sets down in here, and we have a thrust washer. Now we have our forward clutch, which is just 4 clutches, which looks good. Everything looks good there. But let's add an extra clutch to our 3rd gear clutch real quick. So here we go. We're going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now we have this big, thick top hat. We're going to throw that away. We're going to come over here and grab our forward top hat. Look how thin it is. But it has this sticking up, so you got to be careful. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to use this as an example. We're going to add another steel. We're going to add another clutch, and then we're going to add this. And now we're going to put our snap ring in. But what we're going to do, we're going to go grab a 350K snap ring because it's thicker than this snap ring, and it'll take up our clearance and get our clearance more than where we need it. Okay? But guys, once you've put all this together like this, we have to set all this up, and we have to air check this drum right here. Because if we don't air check this drum, this plate right here can rub right here. Because this right here sets below the snap ring. This right here is above the snap ring. So if you ain't careful, when you put this clutch on, this plate right here can come up and touch this drum right around here. That's what we're looking for. So you got to be careful when you do some of these tricks that we do. But we can come in here and machine the top of this plate off right here and use this plate and add an extra clutch. So and then when you put it together, it might not even touch. But if it does, you're going to be in trouble. So just something to know. Of course, we have our forward planted here. Our thrust washer here sits on there down in the drum like that. Have a bearing sets in here, that sets in there like that. And of course, we have our steel planet. And we have our sun gear and sun gear shell. And we have 3 tab washers. 1, 2, 3. They make 4 tab. So thrust washers are getting hard to come by, but luckily I got boxes of them. Now we have our rear planetary down in here. There's a snap ring right here you have to pull out first to get it out of the reverse clutch hub, I guess you could call it. And then you're going to reach in there and grab the planet, and it's going to be a steel planet. And it's going to have another 3 tab washer on the bottom of it. Pretty simple. And then down in here deep, we have a snap ring that we're going to get out. Maybe. Don't tell me it's one of them. Of course it is, guys. It's one of those. I'm going to put my glasses on real quick so I can kind of see down in there. And see if I can get it with this one first. Some of these snap rings, they are tough. Especially in these. They set really far down in the groove. And it's really hard to get on them. They just want to jump off every time. There we go. They barely got enough to grab them. But what we have down here is our inner ring gear, or outer ring gear for our planet. Have a bearing here. The early designs had a thrust washer right here. Then they went to the bearing because the thrust washer just was not surviving. And then we have our low reverse clutch and our Sprag assembly. Nothing's easy. These things, this fluid's really slippery. I don't know what's in this fluid, but it needs to keep that out of there. There's our low reverse clutch. Now our V10 unit that we did the other day, you remember it only had 4 clutches in reverse. And it only had 4 clutches in third gear. Remember that? If you stay up with me on our earlier video. And we have our output shaft, and we have our bearing here. Now in the early design here, this was a thrust washer. And this piece here come off. It just pull off with your hand. So real simple. Now, we do have another inner race down in here for our Sprag assembly here. Pull this out. Now this is a, let me get the Sprag assembly and the roller clutch assembly straightened out real quick. This bearing right here is a one-way bearing. It spins one way and locks the other. It does the exact same thing as your Sprag does. But they call this a roller clutch, they call this a Sprag. But they do the identical thing. That's why it's easy for me to call this a Sprag, because it does the same thing. But not too shabby, guys. He got it into us just in time. A little bit of clutch burn in overdrive in third gear a little bit, but I guarantee you we can fix that problem, get him back on the road with a really nice unit to hold up for him. Teresa, you're splattered a little bit. I want to thank you for recording. Definitely we'll clean you up here really quick. And he's hanging out again, guys. We want to thank you for watching our videos. We really enjoy you guys doing it. We enjoy what we do. Don't forget to subscribe. Let everybody know so they can get into this teaching stuff that we're doing here so everybody can learn. Y'all don't forget to have a great day. Teresa, again, thank you again. Talk to you later.